Well, it seems that generally in our culture, there's an acceptable division which has become comfortable now between faith and religious practice. Many people, we hear them often quote Madonna, saying that they are spiritual but not religious. And if that is being lived out in families, as we've been saying, then young people are having that much less contact with religious and priests and the church. Those kinds of things that attracted some of us to religious life and the priesthood. Further, in the same contemporary culture, there's so much noise, at least in my ears. There's just so much noise there, on the radio, on Facebook, on Twitter, and we are victims of that too in one way or another in our daily work. It's a vocation discernment is a conversation with God, now and then, off and on, but perhaps going deeper. And there has to be an element of it, I think, that's deep in one's heart, and that requires silence and solitude. I don't know if people know how to find the time for that, with so much noise and so many distractions all over the place to occupy us. Perhaps that's why the average age is now up to 29, because not until one grows older and out of those kinds of milieus, recognizing them to be distractions, that these kinds of questions and silence and solitude do enter the picture. But by that time, hasn't one already begun a career of sorts? So that's already filling one's life, and maybe that's why the vocations, even though they're coming at 29, are fewer.
I'm working in a high school. I mean, I have kids, when we talk about the vows, poverty, obedience, chastity. Sex is the first thing, they're like, what? Sex? No, whether or not it's ordained or married life or outside of married life. And then the priesthood, they want to be at least able to express themselves sexually, or I guess, I don't know. I mean, that's a huge aspect for them when they understand part of the challenges that are part of the priesthood. I think my kids my students that I work with, they are continuously bombarded by a society that says, think of yourself, do what you want that makes you happy, and very little that talks about sacrifice. And so when they see the whole concept of sacrifice, giving up, it's really hard for them because they've already been used to living for themselves.
Primal urges, between sex, it's greed. Our society defines success as people who become wealthy. It's a very, very strong driver when you talk to young people. They do want to succeed financially. I do think even a generation or two ago, there was always a sense that that's a little bit, if you said your main goal is to get rich, people would think that that's kind of a little bit inappropriate. But when you talk to university level people today, if they're honest, it's a big driver. It's kind of what you're saying, that the idea of an ethical life where you service of others, or even a kind of a shorter term commitment to service, is becoming less and less common, because I've got to get ahead, I've got to have a really good job, it's got a really good income, because that defines success in our society. You have kind of goals like that. It's difficult to see the value of the priesthood when that's kind of an underlying value that's being spoken about in society all the time.
And I think that the grand irony about all that is that there's kind of this distinction between either you can be a life of service or you can have a life of desire and joy and pleasure. And my experience is that the happiest people I know are the people who are other-centered. Their lives isn't focused upon them. And so, I think certainly in terms of the students I've come into contact with too, either I can be successful and have a family and be, wealthy, or if that doesn't work out, I can be a priest and of service to other people. And my thing is, if you really want to be happy, if you really want to be fulfilled, you have to live your life that your life is not the center of the universe, that your life is a gift to other people. And how do you take that gift of your life to other people and express that? It can be in a family, it can be really wonderful and all the rest. But no matter how you live your life, I think there's this duality in our society that either says you can be of service if you really can't do the stuff, or you can be really, really successful if you can achieve that. And I think that's the real struggle, is that young people are hearing that if you're really successful, you're gonna go for this, and if you don't quite make it, there's these backup options. And I think that's the struggle that to convey to young people. You know what? If you really want to be a missionary, it's an incredibly happy, fulfilling life in and of itself, and it's a way to do both.